Yeah, welcome to another episode of the Fat Cats Rugby Podcast. As usual, with this is a part 2 with the same gentleman we were with last week.
You know what I wanted?
I don't know why are you smiling?
Yeah, I wanted to say something before the recording.
Say it with your chest. You say you're a Luo man.
My favorite song, Keroro, like Sachumi 2010. We were recording.
I don't know you guys like Kenyan music.
Why don't we just start from there? You were telling us about
Keroro.
favorite moments, but now let's put it in rugby context. What's been your favorite rugby journey outside Uganda?
Of all time?
Of all time.
Yes, if you've lived for all time, then all time, yes.
Of all time. Of all time.
Guys are disputing Zeno's 96.
By the guys were questioning the fact that you've watched rugby from 96.
But I brought proof to the effect. But that aside, my favorite journey of all time, there are two. There was one 2010 University Games to Nairobi, Kenyatta University.
Why the sheepish laugh?
Many of the things are X-rated. We can't talk about them. But I remember one of us turning into a stripper and giving away his camera.
Oh, really?
Then
Is that one of us here?
he was actually, by then he was on the national team. So
Can't be one.
it makes it more candid. What a story. But we went down to where Kenyatta University students drink alcohol, and they chased us out.
Why?
Because it had run out. But
You guys finished all the alcohol.
that's a recurring theme in rugby journeys. Then there's a 2013 Bamburi to Nakuru. Oh God. As on tour, they attach you to a player after the game. Now, I was with my wingman, and my wingman slept off, and he had to be carried. It's a massive prop. So he had to be carried in the bush back too. And he left me with two ladies. Because, we're seated, 2 ladies, 2 guys, were talking nicely. My guy just closed. So they had to put him in the boot of the car. And he left me dealing with 2 ladies. After that, I think 2013 is the last time I actually went on rugby tour. It's been 10 years after that. But memorably, I think those are the ones. The others, it's been business. You go, you play, you fuck, get out.
Okay. Anyway, this is part 2 of Without Fear or Favour of the Fat Cats Rugby Podcast. Of course, myself, Ruben Kihumuro, Cesar Nkunda, I'd forgotten your name by the way. Zeno, Owora, and Keniga, Abraham. Keniga, for you, which stories do you have?
My stories are too PG for our audience. And last time I was bleeped out.
Yes.
So I didn't know that it was a family.
But
Not necessarily family,
Keniga,
but
I actually don't know
one.
why they bleeped
He was
you
in
out.
Smart. Smart never wins. So it's not like there's a victory dance after.
you want to annoy someone.
I don't even know
Zeno shooting blanks again.
Zeno, what?
All the time you're in Smart, even you see that. You won once?
7s.
7.
Yeah.
Bambi,
That's like the
they
African
fluked
brother.
na Midyango kwa
Somebody
7s
say,
there.
brother. Let me tell you, we are discussing smack. Some guy brings Namiriam. You guys just want to be relevant. Just because rugby is what makes you relevant.
Oh, yeah.
You should
I
have
forgotten.
Namirianga.
I was forgotten. There's the S3 tour where your friends came over, Meshu and the company.
What happened?
I think Meshu was the first man to make me a real criminal. Jesus. We in Form 3 and they told me to go and direct them to where alcohol was. Then I think this is prop. We also played for Cobs.
Where was this?
Mbara.
Yeah.
So they failed to climb over the fence in getting back to school. So we had to use the gate. So we gave it was a prop in Namiliango. We gave him a big jacket. These Ascari's jackets. And we claimed they're escorting a teacher who wanted food.
Did they buy it? Did they buy
bought it because it was East African school games, so you don't know who is who. So,
wait, it was illegal to get out of the school?
No, it was at night. We were coming back to school at 3 a.m. So we explained that this teacher but he was too drunk to cross through the fence. So we had to use the gate. So we had to explain to the gate that the teacher wanted to eat something. So we've taken him and we've brought him back. Then the next morning I got my famous injury of 2 seconds in and out. And it became folklore, but I'd gone to bed at 4 literally because of
Shenanigans.
Anyway,
and alcohol.
for some reason, this last quarter of the year has a lot of internationals that have sprung up. Of course, we do have the Lady Sevens that are, I don't know if they have already reached, but
they're in Kenya.
They are bound to Tunisia. Yeah, for the Rugby Africa Women's Games and also qualifiers for 2024 Olympics. We wish them all the best. Also, we have the Victoria Cup that has come up, and we have Safari Sevens around the corner. We have Elgon Cup. We have Dubai Sevens as an invitation side. So before...
or is it Kenya? Isn't it Kenya?
I think we're also invited from the last information I got. But before we go into the complexities of all that, what are the tips for a traveling fan that's perhaps going to, let's say, like Kenya? What should a guy or a babe know when they are going to Kenya?
For me, from my experience, I've never really traveled as a fan to Kenya, but as a player, taking it from the seniors. If you're traveling, avoid having sex in Kenya.
Why?
It never ends well. We can tell you it never ends well. You have enough experience about it.
Ruben, don't look at me like that.
Keniga, you are telling me about your plans of traveling to Kenya this year.
No offense, but
let's first keep that under wraps for now.
I don't think it's the right place to have sex. It never ends well. The best thing about Kenya is meeting people who will come to party in Uganda, because really, given the economy of Uganda and the budget in Nairobi, usually it's Nairobi, you'll never have a good party. But they really have great strip clubs, which reminds me of the 2010 tour. Where another Queens player tipped away a stripper 1,000 shillings, Uganda. She didn't notice it.
She thought it was a lot of money.
So it was 1,000 Kenya shillings.
And when they say men are trash, you guys argue. When they say men are trash, you guys argue.
No, but you. No, but the tours are really crazy. There's a tour to Rwanda where one of us got very drunk, and he had spent time threatening a Rwandan girl. So he carried her upstairs through the stairs. Then we had the lady screaming, like, we're going to be detained in Rwanda. She came down, exchanging very fast in the language with her friends. We go up, our colleague has blacked out on the bed. Totally out. Used his last energy to carry the person upstairs. So the lady started blaming us. Why was he threatening if he can't do the job? Now we still remember him for threatening and not doing the job.
Well, for those that are noticing, we are at the Kickoff Sports Bar in Bukoto. Another very, very nice place if you want to watch the Rugby World Cup. They do have, especially today, which is a Thursday when we are shooting this, they have lovely band night. They have a lovely band night. Also, they have quiz on Wednesdays and also acoustic Sundays. So those are the three beautiful nights that I think I've picked out of their week. But the Kickoff Sports Bar in Bukoto is one place you should really, really try out. Caesar, you have been particularly quiet. We've had, for some reason, it seems like we are always winging our events, our schedules as rugby in this country. And I don't want to be too hard on the people that organize or try to chase for these things. But I mean, it's 2 weeks to Victoria Cup, and today is the day the oppressor was there. So, and we are going to play Zambia, we are going to play Kenya, and ourselves, of course, in the tournament. Uganda is hosting. Zimbabwe called out last minute due to a couple of reasons. What are your thoughts about this? Are you excited? Are you worried? Do you think our boys are ready?
Well, first and foremost, I'm happy. Very, very happy that we have rugby. Yet again, I think the game that will go to Kenya on 11th of November, I think it's going to be one of the most attended away matches. I want to believe. I believe people are going to go to Kenya for that match because they've been starved of real rugby for some time. We've been watching sevens and stuff, but rugby.
So you also agree that sevens is not real rugby?
It's really no.
The biggest hate of sevens
The
rugby.
biggest hate
Yeah,
of sevens
when
rugby.
you were saying Smack 1 sevens, we had to remind him it's not real rugby.
If a tournament is there to be one, it's one. I mean, Arsenal has a community shield. Anyway,
Liverpool had 3 Champions Leagues, but they hadn't won the trophy.
you get. My point is, when a competition is there to win it. If you participate to win. But about winging, I think this time it was different. I think this time it's not about our leadership winging something. I think it's something they've been planning on reviving. Maybe what we look at as I'm not a communications person, so I don't know when a presser should be and when it shouldn't be. But I don't think this time it was winging. This time it was a systematic process to bring competitive rugby back, the Victoria Cup, to revive the Victoria Cup, to revive the Elgon Cup, and very many other competitions that they might be bringing in the future. So I feel like it was more of like what happened to us last year. Was it last year or last year but one? Which I suspect is why Legends has no rugby games. Where we were promised games, Zim coming, the under-20 coming, and then they changed their minds on the last day, and then someone has invested so much money, and then they aren't able to refund him. I don't know whether they did or not. Anyway, that's...
we bought tickets, were never refunded.
Yeah, you are never refunded. So I think to avoid all that, they didn't want to commit themselves. But at a certain point, it became a bit more real that these games were going to happen. That's why I guess our team was called up. Our team was called up, and you know, people started training. So I feel like, yes, it might be short notice now, but the beginning always more like our cheetah curtains, the Cops cheetah curtains. There might have been problems that happened that day, that weekend, but it's a beginning. We made a decision as a club to revive the cheetah curtains or start the cheetah curtains. And the beginning will always be rough, but at least you've started. This is what these guys had to rebuild, to bring back international 15s rugby and revive our 15s program. I didn't expect them to do superbly well when they're reviving it. I will want to judge them after. Before I leave this, you might not give me a chance again. I had a thought. You know how in the European world, football-wise, we have international breaks. How about in Ugandan rugby or East African rugby, for that matter, we formulate a joint plan with all our East African brothers and sisters, the rugby federations. We can even enlarge it and put Zim and Namibia if they allow, where we have international breaks during our in-game season.
I'm supposed to follow a World Rugby calendar.
Let me finish. You dismiss it or
No.
support
Actually,
support
we've
it.
always had a joint union of East African rugby.
Yes, that one. What if it's there? If it's still
It has
there
been
even
around.
now?
How
I mean, as
functional
early as
is it?
1950s.
Yeah.
So we're playing joint games.
Yes.
We're running one domestic calendar.
Where we'll have now, if they pass the round robin, let's assume they haven't passed the round robin, that Super 12 stuff. Okay, I think they passed it. I don't know. I'm not so sure. As usual,
They may have passed it, but not ratified it.
Yeah, as usual, the union very limited in their communication, but they're improving. If they passed the round robin games, the 12 teams, and let's say I understand it's around one round, then we go whatever they're planning. Let's assume the first round, 11 matches, 11 game weeks. Can't we do where we have 3 to 4, 5 weeks where we play competitive league rugby? Then we know that in the following 2 weeks the league rugby is on a break. These are the following players that have been called up for the national team, and let's say we play an international with Kenya, we play an international with Zambia, like that, and not wait for June where to pile all these games. I think our 15th team, the June internationals are really not enough. Look at England, for example. England has 6 nations. Then they have June internationals. Then they have November autumn series.
internationals later
You
on.
get like this is these are the core teams. Yes, they have time and all, but these are core teams. What if we start small? People keep talking about Rwanda, people keep talking about Zambia, and these other countries, Burundi, if they have a rugby team, maybe it's a way to grow. But we have constant international engagements during our season, so that by the time we reach the big games, the important qualifiers and all that stuff, we've just not played against the barbarians or against the heathens or against a combined squad. We've actually been playing all season games. I had that thing in my mind. I don't know what you guys think about it.
First and foremost, the idea on paper is it's excellent. It's an excellent idea. But if you look at the logistics of managing something like this, you'll need first and foremost the clubs to consent to it, such that in that period all the clubs pause their activity, and during that time all the clubs, they pause their activities and send probably 1 or 2 players to the national team. Look at the logistics from the Owora itself. They'll have to pause managing the league and manage an international season. Remember, you're proposing 1 or 2 breaks.
Yes.
So logistics of managing this right now, I don't think are feasible.
Okay. First, I think I outlined this in my manifesto clearly. We are not running rugby domestically. One, first and foremost, we've always run a joint season with East Africa. I think the Kenya Cup and the Ugandan League conclude almost at the same time. Even our sevens programs run concurrently, but they never meet. They are parallel. So, 1, 2, 3, the economics. And this is something that is very much ignored. Most rugby people do not know how to create value out of thin air, because most clubs have career civil servants or career corporate employees as the bulk of their game, and mainly people are raised in Catholic schools, so the ability to think out of a box is always limited. Now, one, as a person, I don't believe any player should spend more than 3 weeks away from their club at any level. But we've designed a system that is so narrow that it pushes rugby's limited strictly to national team. The best attended game for Uganda is 5,000 spectators. Let's say all the 5,000 paid, that is 50 million. That is 5,000 times 10,000. So by economic viability, a national team game is a waste of money. But because the conditioning of national teams is desegregated from national team, from clubs, that means the national team pays extra to condition a player, which shouldn't be the case. The club should be bearing that burden. 2, we are not forcing clubs to do proper training. That is why our national team training is very extended. Because if I was the national team coach and I had the luxury of calling up Ruben at Warriors and telling him, Ruben, I think I'm interested in Caesar, your prop. Given the quality of props I'm going to face, I expect Caesar to be 115 kilograms. This is the body fat. These are the statistical dynamics I'm going to work with. We've already seen his speed. We've already seen his weight. We can increase it this way. Then the club's nutritionist, conditioning coach, and we have these systems in our clubs, but we tend to ignore them. Then we hand over a raw product to the national team. Then 2, when they get into that system, it shouldn't be shock therapy, because most players who go to the national team shouldn't be saying, man, training is zero. It should be camp nature. You come in, the coach explains his paradox or the way he wants to play the internationals, then the players already are adopted to it because they already have an idea of what is coming to them. They've been briefed by their clubs and they've been briefed by the team manager. Because we don't even know who is team manager and what the role of a team manager is defined. Now, to even lessen that burden, for example, the club I support, or the club I was last affiliated to, Chambogo, has played close to 16 circuits of sevens rugby.
16
time period.
16.
Circuits.
Yes.
In what time period?
In what time period?
Since the Central League, I think it's been five months. Central League, then Nationals, then University.
And
so I have 4
invitations.
players who have been consistently playing for 14 weeks. And non-stop. And they are playing this weekend again. But on the same contingent, I have 15 players who last played. I mean, if they had impregnated someone at the end of the season, we'd be now expecting a baby. You see, it's that bad. Like, it can show you that there was deliberate no plan. If you say our target is to be at the World Cup in 2028, right? Why are you playing Zambia? Are we playing Zambia, one, to test our systems, to give what they call debut cups? Because if you're playing a team like Zambia, who are lower than you in ranking, you say, okay, we've been suffering with locks and centers, because that has been Uganda's traditional problem.
I think
The
very
locking
much.
pair,
I think very much the 15s, Uganda 15s has not recovered from the COVID lockdown.
it's not the
And,
lockdown.
yeah, it is.
Even before Keniga.
Yeah, I don't think it's a COVID
It's
lockdown thing.
even before
Okay, there was a slump, but it just worsened.
I played in the league when they were 6, then they became 8. Then we play the league, we finish. Then the internationals
would
begin.
come up.
Then we come back for Uganda Cup, which is always 4 games. So if your team is unlucky, you play one game.
One game.
Back then it was straight knockout. You hit on the first weekend, you're out. My team is survive up to weekend 3, then we stop our nonsense. The other team is survive up to weekend 2. So in
Warriors,
yeah, it was Mongas and Warriors. So
respectively.
So in that case, in a year, because the second round, the league would begin in November, and then first half ends in December for Christmas break. So in a year, I would play 11 games of rugby. Yeah. So within that, the national team players would play, I think, 16 to 15 games. But like I've told you, if we're playing Zambia, what are we looking at? Do we graduate locks? Do we finally get our centers right? Are these the friendlies or the tests that take us to the World Cup? Or are we just
At
playing?
this level, I think it's just reintroduction of
Even if
15s
you're
rugby
rugby
to the system.
Do you
I
go
think
vibing every game?
No, that's the bare minimum.
Do you go vibing every game?
No. Of course you do not.
You
At the
target.
bare minimum for this season, we've not had a test game in Uganda for
Yeah, I
3-4
think we should
years.
cut them some slack. I mean,
Yeah,
we have not
sure,
had
even if we are
for
cutting
2
them
years.
You see,
We have not
this
had
is
rugby.
Introduction
cost
of
money.
what 15s
An
rugby
international
is to
costs
everyone.
money. You get it? So, which, of course, somebody whispered in my ear that we're organizing internationals to justify expenditure from government, which I don't want to go to. But
Drink there.
how much, why are we focusing on rugby at test level? In these last 10 years, Ruben, you've been here, only one facility for rugby has gone up. Yeah? 2 actually, Walukuba and Kings Park.
It's also Mongas.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ground has gone up, but wouldn't call it a facility.
It's a rugby playing facility.
Would you?
You would not call it.
What's
So
the
same as
what's the
Walukuba.
difference between
I
the
would say same as
Walukuba
Walukuba
Stadia and
No, you see,
Mongas
with
Stadia?
Walukuba Stadia, you have a lot to work with. With Mongas, it's done.
Limit.
We can't improve.
Yes.
We can't improve.
Okay, point.
Now,
That's a point, but
if say we were very determined to grow rugby, we'd be sending more money to develop training facilities. For example, Walukuba, I would be using more money to grant Walukuba a grant to improve the field.
No,
not Ugembe.
They are-
Albert Daira Stadium.
My question is Aberdare is the
It is municipality.
It's a
Is it
municipality
a
land.
municipal pitch or
Yes.
it's a Walukuba pitch?
It is a
Municipal land.
municipality-owned community facility.
Is it wise for rugby to send money there?
Yes, it is.
Explain. Because then what's to stop? I've always asked this question. What is, for example, like a team, I've always wondered why, I want to bring it out. Okay, let's assume Warriors doesn't have a home, the way Cubs is and stuff. So if Warriors, say, comes into an arrangement with, say, university like Chambogo, yeah? They agree that for the next 10 years, for example, a contract is signed, a deal is signed. For the next 10 years, we are going to use Chambogo rugby pitch as our home ground, we as Warriors. And then, because Warriors has numerous sponsors, they say we want to invest in a pitch or a stadium or a grounds. So they come and do, say, what Kings Park has done at their land. So if they come and, of course, through the university, they come and put stands, they come and put facilities, amenities, a clubhouse, everything. On a day, what's to stop Chambogo University from treating Warriors the way Dani treats all the Legends clubs? Yeah.
Already in Chambogo it is happening. Cricket have their home there.
Yeah.
And what stops you? Parameters of an MOU.
Yeah.
An institution, unfortunately, works differently. I'll give you the often ignored aspects. Does Entebbe Rugby know that they are bound to pay 250,000 every year to the municipal council as ground rent? You know, these are small ignored things. That's how pitches
The
are
dynamics with Entebbe Rugby are more
I know
complicated.
the dynamics. I was your captain. I was there when that league was being built. The problem is, now again, it goes back to how we structure the secretariat. When you are head of a technical unit, what units do you head? You head the coaching, you head the rules, you head the schedule. Those are the three primary functions. You head. Then that means you qualify the quality. For example, why should a facility call itself rugby when there is no MOU showing the limitation of priority? Because for me to grant you rugby rights, as a head of technical, I would demand an MOU that shows me that if I'm running a year-long schedule, I have priority. If you tell me, no, I have Smart League, then we agree. At least 70% of my priority should be what? Met. If you refuse, we blacklist you. We'll get a facility. If you allow, we take your what? Your facility. 2, Secretariat here is organized to unfortunately fulfill the wishes of World Rugby, not Uganda Rugby. Because I have never had an accountant at the union demand accountability from Chambogo, which is supposed to be the case. By us allowing to be a union, we cede our sovereignty, like how we say country before person. Yeah, we've ceded sovereignty, but we still want to act like we are married but still single. Yeah, which should be now something enforceable instead of trying hard to focus on the national team, which will build itself automatically. You force the domestic structures to produce for you at zero cost. When I demand accountability from a club, which, okay, the union enforces it loosely. You have to hand in your constitution. You have to hand in your, what, accounts?
Audited accounts.
Audited accounts.
Audited accounts,
It's not, it's supposed to be, we will assist you, because the union employs an accountant, or the union also, which, I mean, I point
They
out.
appoint an auditor.
Yeah, they employ Denise as PR, which is doing massive work, too much work. Our job should be a department. But for some reason,
I really feel like Denise is overworked.
Yeah,
She's
Denise
good
is
at what
overworked.
she does, but
you can see the stress.
being in the line of PR and comms and seeing some of the things she's supposed to be doing, she's doing a lot of work.
Because
I hope the pay is worth it.
even if the pay is worth it, but if we have someone working that much, the quality of work we are going to get
Is always going to be low. Always substandard. Always.
Yes. So in that case,
Something
Just
to be
bare minimum.
yes, I would have Denise commandeer almost all club PRs to help her
Yeah,
on
she should
union
be
affairs.
should be
by
over.
the right of them being club PRs, they should be union PRs.
Yes,
There should be like a forum for for
which I think they
They've-
have.
PRs.
they've instituted it.
Which I think
but
they have.
again, does she have that power?
Yeah,
Because
she should be
she should
overseeing
have-
all
yes.
of them.
not overseeing, but they should be spreading the burden across for her. See, but for some reason, someone thinks union is a mysterious entity that they shouldn't. And me, I think it's a problem of Kasasa and Ramsey hiding their incompetence in there. Because the work they do can be done by a child. Because what is hard
Zeno.
for you to produce fixtures from January to December? Now,
They use fixture generators.
they use,
It's obvious. If you,
Yes.
I've studied schedules for the last 2 years. They use fixture generators.
yes, because look here,
The fixtures are always the same.
my prop hasn't played in 6 months. And you're telling him even in October he won't play. Even in November he won't play.
Yeah.
What's the use of him training?
But Zeno brings in a very good point. How do we handle the rest of the rugby teams, the club players
Outside.
Because I'm still paying them. I'm still paying them. I'm still feeding them. I'm still.
But you see, in some of these environments, you see that there are some of the clubs continue playing some of the lesser ranked tournaments.
Like
Take for instance, I like to use England because it's the one I follow the most. Now, when some of the players on international duty, there is what they call the Premiership Rugby Cup, which is played by many of the guys who don't get as much game time when the seniors are around, and also for the guys who remain and are not going on international duty. How do they position themselves to keep being match fit, keep being active?
Now the problem here is in this time we have sevens running through.
Sevens are done.
During off season we've been having sevens for the last 3 months.
That's true.
yeah, more or less.
Okay, sevens, but then after sevens, now take for instance this year, after sevens are done, what's happening?
Now, okay, that's what I told you, a technical plan. That is not supposed to be my question.
One thing we should also not forget,
the union's question.
One thing we should also not forget is the load onto the players. We have players, we have players who have been from last year October. They played the entire length of the 15th season. After which they dropped. There was like a 2-week break or 3-week break. Now they dropped into the 7th season. So there should also be a break for players where they get optimum rest.
Apparently there is a break between the 15s and the 7s.
That's a question.
There's a break there.
Okay, what do you achieve in a break?
What do you achieve
on a
in
science
break?
level, on a science level, it takes 6 weeks to condition a player from zero fitness to workable fitness. So, do you have 6 weeks in a year for anything like that? No. So officially 6 weeks is what would constitute an off season on a scientific level. Now, what is a break? How do you keep the 15s or players, rugby players involved? One, we play sevens too close to each other, that it dilutes the whole reason to play sevens. Even the World Series is not played weekend in, weekend out, weekend in, weekend out, weekend in, weekend out.
But this year we did have some rest weekends.
No, leave the rest weekends. You see, it is like a curtain that we have closed the 15th, we are starting the 7th.
So you're thinking we should play 15s, play a 7s tournament, then rest, play 15s,
now,
then...
Yes. That way, the season keeps interesting. But to plan that is where now your round robin becomes interesting. Because a guy leaves the pressure first and plays 7s in 2 weeks, then he comes back for his 15th.
Good idea.
No, for me now, this should now for me in my opinion, the 7s and the 15s should be separate.
No.
Complete.
I also think they should be
The
separate.
7s should be a development model for the 15s.
How many schools play rugby?
I don't think people can allow
How
that.
many schools play rugby?
I would say, let me say the 10
Okay,
schools
let's say
in
in
schools
Central
league.
League.
10 schools, the 10 schools in schools league. Are
Now,
they 10? They're 8. They're 8 in schools league. I
Must
think
be
about
like 8
is it.
now.
Now,
But then there are also the regional
How many
leagues.
clubs are in Central Uganda alone?
8 or 9.
15.
15. Okay.
Yeah. So, can a school league of 10 anchor a club league of 15?
That is where University 7s comes in.
No, even if we go to the universities, there are 8. And of which this time we agreed 70% of players are in the age. So university in your development cycle is a minor factor. You can use the university for their facility, but anchoring on them as a development model.
So then what should the second division entail of ideally? Especially in Uganda here where we don't have that many teams. You did talk about 15 teams, especially in the central, but you have already 10 of them in the top tier. So who constitutes the second division? Who constitutes the regional teams? Shouldn't we have the bulk of that being fed by institutions such as universities? Because that is where we're actually getting a base of even actually young players, genuinely young players.
I still think the best of young players, you shouldn't be going to uni. if I was in charge of a technical aspect, I would be going to primary schools because that's the real missing link here. The university receives the player. I've coached university players. After 3 years, you really see little to no change. I can give you a typical example. We've received players from Impis and Chambo. You received Odinga at Warriors. What changed when he came in and what changed after?
Confidence.
But you see, most of the time, the coachability has reduced drastically. And now, if you're signing a project player, a young player, it's a project. So the last thing you want is a player who is not coachable. So if again your target is still World Cup, remember the players who are playing at a World Cup today start playing rugby at 6 years. You'll start playing rugby at 12 years. So even if we throw $1 billion at every rugby club here, we will not solve the jinx unless we go deeper into the roots.
So my question to you, Zeno, or I don't know which other topics we're supposed to talk about.
We have a bunch of things.
My question to you, Zeno, my question to you is, how then does a union, say a union, or a secretariat and a union, balance their worlds? Because I get your point for development. We really need to push a little bit more because when we develop, all these things make themselves. But then also we can't be oblivious to the actual present, the internationals, what you talked about, accounting to World Rugby or appeasing World Rugby for that matter. So in our setup, since you have a little bit more knowledge because you run in the campaigns and stuff, in our setup, in our division of labor or in our division of roles and responsibility, who should be doing the current business and who should be doing the development business?
One.
Tech and commercial.
One. Okay. In any system, it's always a danger to have elected officials running technical aspects. When you have a CEO, he can be advised by a vice president, but not operated upon. I don't believe in volunteers doing professional roles. For example, today I'm going to be very biased towards technical because it's something I understand well because I've run a technical arm for sports in a country. So, one, you see, we always mistake development at growth. Rugby is growing, it's not really developing. Why I'll tell you that is more people are playing rugby. Are they playing rugby on better pitches? Are they approaching rugby with better coaches? Are they getting... for example, yesterday I think we're having a conversation and I was asking you, why does Budo only have 2 coaches?
Yes.
At this point, they should have 6.
Yeah.
And that was also my insistence to my alma mater that for us to actually get relevant, we need 6 coaches, minimum, bare minimum. So who is financing that? The university, the school can throw it and kill it within its budget. I think I was also having a conversation with your friend whom I told, for me in Chambogo, my benchmark was always to have 12 people in the back room, having, if I have the physio around, who supervises the physio? Because if I have the physio, I have the emergency medical trauma unit, I have a surgeon on call, of course I can't afford to have a surgeon at pitch, I have a surgeon on call. In case of anything, the surgeon is always the last one. If I have a team manager, I have a team manager in charge of kits, Kabudu, and then I have a team manager for correspondence. That means communications from the union, communications from the university, communications within the club. Then I have a team manager specifically for players and their welfare. A player feels his allowance is not coming on time. That is, you get it. Then the exco now is the one that overlooks that. Then the coaching. You see, do these players we receive understand coaching instruction? How much coaching experience do they have? Because you get a player, say players coming from Chambogo, they coming from up country, they've never been coached, they love rugby. And you tell him now, here, it's not just about running, it's about spacing, angle, do this. But immediately you also have to condition. Then they say, man, you guy, me, I just came to play. Why are you making that difficult? Then before you know it, rhinos has taken them. Then before you know it, rhinos have thrown them back. And it happens every season. I see players being fished, then players being dropped. Because of the other factor that the coach at Rhinos is not yet used to knowing the player history on coachability. So that is where growth and development happens. As a union, your job is to know, I have 1 level 2 coach, I have 3 level 3 coaches, and what is the role of these levels of coaches? How many level 1s do we have? How active are they? Now, that is a union job, databasing of coaches. Because now that is something you can do freely. Because if you have 6 employees, you can divide the labor. Like I said, the union accountant should be responsible for every book I have. Not only accounting for World Rugby money and government money. You should know, for example, I heard that a team is signing players. Are these contracts enforceable? That should be now. Because by the time we ask commercial, are these contracts enforceable? The union accountant should have already gave him a cheat, one over to Favour. Because that's how teams run bankrupt. Yeah? It just doesn't happen in the Mugaga today. Ruben says, I'm no longer giving Warriors money. We are
And Warriors
bankrupt.
collapses.
But we should have known it already that this guy we are bringing in has a history of this. So I don't think he's here for a long time. What can we get from him?
Okay, just to expound on that, in the long run, if person X was an investor and wanted to put their money in a rugby club, is it economically viable? Will my long-term investment yield return?
Yes.
What is return in rugby? That is one thing
Exactly.
you need to first
No,
ask
return,
yourselves.
economic return.
Yes.
Rugby.
What is return?
No, it's not in rugby. Economic return.
Yes.
If I'm to say I'm getting 100 million UGX, and I'm putting them in Chambogo rugby, is there a viable plan for rugby to grow? And this is not just for Chambogo rugby. Is there a viable plan for rugby to grow as a sport and yield return on my 100 million?
Yes. And why I tell you that is, you see, you want to copy the football model where you can buy and sell players.
Yeah.
That won't work here. You want to copy the football. You see, the most expensive jersey in the Uganda Premier League at the moment is 60,000.
60 only?
Yes, that is Bright Stars. They have the most expensive jersey. The cheapest jersey in rugby
Is double.
that, right? So that model also won't work. Merchandising won't work. But what works? Event. Rugby has always been an event that can
Best
grow
model,
bigger. So every club can have that one Golden Glove event every 2 years or 3 years to break even. It's like heavyweight fights. You don't need 10 fights to make money. You need to hype up one fight and the whole boxing makes money. Yeah, the undercards, the promoters, everyone just has to make one fight, the fight of the century, and then we all make money. So yes, rugby's return is not based on players or performance at the international level. It's just that, can we agree next year we are going to organize one Chivuru of sevens, and we agree because seven sells faster. We agree for one bullshit weekend. We're going to make it. We do it a lot with the entire league. We organize our finale and we guarantee whoever is hosting us, it's worth it.
It's worth the hype.
You guys just be wanting to go out there and be
but
naughty
it's
and
worth
nasty.
it.
But yes, it is. I do agree with that. I do agree with that as a concept, especially when it comes to the lifestyle of rugby. And yes, that is something that could work. It's something worth pondering on. Yeah, but
I'm going to write a document.
okay, we are waiting.
You will
So,
We are waiting.
as we deviate away from this a bit, one of the things that we did not address, the Uganda 15s that are going to play in about 2 weeks or so,
Yeah.
have a lot of key names of training. Joseph Aredo hasn't been training unless he has started of recent. Michael Okorach, maybe he had taken a bit of a break, but we have a lot of senior players that are not training. Let me just name, at least we have Taufik Bagarana, who has gone abroad for better opportunities, I should say. Who do you think can feature? I mean, we can be able to patch up in the forwards, but in the backs, where especially the centers.
I want to believe. I was one year. Sorry. I want to believe that by the time the coaching team, the technical team called out all these players, they had contingencies, and I believe in long term. For a long time, there's been this discussion that we ring first the national team collapse. which I find bollocks because it's a national team.
That's the one of the biggest facts in rugby.
Yes.
It's a truism. It's a
This
fact.
year has not
It
been
happens.
ring fenced. This year has not been ring
And
fenced.
that's what I'm trying to say. This has not been ring first because probably maybe the technical team anticipated these senior players pulling out. Probably they've played a lot of rugby. Probably they're tired. Probably they're on their way out of the national stage. I don't know. But I'm sure the technical team and whoever they used for sampling of players, they had this at the back of the mind. I am actually happy. If you say already is not training, I'm very, very happy. I'm very happy that Michael is not training because what Zeno is saying, a game like Zambia, who are lower than us in rank, is a very good game for you to try one of those names that you've never heard of play and the future. Because okay, I'm just a bit saddened that most of our prospects will end up going to Tolbert and validly, but it's a chance for us. If you ask me who should replace them, I mean, already there's Liam. Very happy about that.
Who is
call-up,
older,
by the way.
Liam or Alredo?
Eh?
Who is older?
I want to believe we are older.
Even
They are not-
Liam played with me.
yeah, they're not old, but I mean, for now, for this tournament, Liam is a worthy. I want to believe they are going to compete. I find, okay, I'm a bit biased. I find Liam so amazing. I'm so happy. I hope he gets a chance. Unfortunately, he's playing the number of the captain, but I'm happy. There are real places, I'm sure. I have not attended any training session, and intentionally too. Okay, one, because it's at Kings Park, but two, I'm intentionally doing it because I want to be pleasant.
You want to be surprised.
I want to appear. There was a tournament. The tournament we held here. We were in Tier 1B. A tournament where Msaja shocked me with some good rugby. We were Tier 1B, and then we won the tournament and went to Tier 1A, where teams
We've
were
been
all
relegated there before.
We had been relegated there before.
But Caesar,
I was surprised.
as the man we rely on for information, why are you avoiding it?
Which one?
By avoiding training, you're not
Okay,
efficient.
You see,
That's the
Caesar,
question.
Maybe that Ruben will go. Honestly, I would want
Let me keep quiet.
to be pleasantly surprised. I would want to see.
Caesar, your hands are in the cookie jar.
I know.
You're going to pick cookies.
Anyway,
Kings Park.
aside
So
from that,
far.
I think the biggest pointer here will be at center. Who do you think can really step up and fill those shoes?
It's not even at center. I think the whole team is.
No, I think
we are
centers.
lacking in so many areas.
No.
No, I think the props
I think
we
it's
can be
centers.
able to do something.
centers-
I think
Let's-
back row.
Let's have a mini review of the positions.
Very quickly.
The front row.
We
The
are
front
set.
row.
We are set.
Are we set?
I
Do we have
guess.
a viable hooker?
Ivan
no,
Kabagambe.
front row.
at
Do we have a
back row.
viable hooker? That's the first question. No, we don't.
I
Front row, we are
think.
not set.
I think.
Second row, let's go. We are going
I
second
think
row. Do we have a-
Rambali and
Okay, why I'm
Emiemo
not,
might
why I'm
fit
not
there for
participating in this
hooker.
discussion, for the last 3 training sessions,
You've been there.
I've been conversing, not only been there, I've been having breakdown conversation with the coaches.
Yeah.
I think I haven't yet talked to the head coach, but the other 2-3 are people I could call close friends. So you can sense their struggle because one, again, it goes back to how a secretariat runs. Even if the center problem has not been a problem Uganda has just seen, if you want the last real
It's a
inside center
decade-old
for
problem.
Uganda, you'd have to reset to Stone.
It's a
That's
decade.
the last
It's a decade-old
Dr.
problem.
Stone, yeah.
Not is it a decade now?
No, Stone has not played rugby in a while.
Stone hasn't played from 2010, 2009
Yeah,
actually.
2009.
Yes, so we are coming to almost
15
15
years.
years.
Yeah.
It's a 15-year problem. So you can no longer blame the coach for a 15-year problem. We seem to have a glut of fullbacks. We don't lack fullbacks. Because even when you're looking at the under-19, we have an exceptional fullback coming through. So, but we don't have any center coming through. None at all.
So far, is
Even
this
when
a
you look
coaching
at the
problem?
under-20s,
Is
it
it
a
a talent problem? Is it a talent
again,
problem?
what I kept on saying,
Yeah.
who is coaching at that level? Why is it that we've had a first center problem for 15 years? Don't only blame us. even our neighbors, they've never figured out how to have a fast center. And for them, it affects them more because they rely more on physicality than we do. I think to give the national team, and I kept on insisting even in training, all the players who should be blooded should be in the 8-year plan. That by the 8th year, they are 28. Because the average age of a player at the World Cup is
25
28,
to 26.
27 to 29.
Then the average weight is 98 kilograms. So we already have the benchmark we're working with. So that should be our target, ideally. But so if you have options around that, you go around it. Then too, I'm seeing very many people training for their first cup, and I played with them. Without you, I played rugby in 2015. So if you played with me, you're out of the development cup. Now I saw guys training. I'm like, but wait, I played against that guy. You're out of the development curve. Whether you played me as a teenager.
So they shouldn't train for the national side?
No, not for your first cup. You should be training for experience.
And you should be truly
are just
exceptional
unlucky.
for you to
Anyway,
play your first cup.
no. So about the ladies that have traveled to Tunisia, how do you fancy their chances? We had a lot of, there is always, I don't know if it is justified or not justified, but I realized one thing about, let me even say us as rugby fans, especially in Uganda, there's always a cause for alarm. For this time, where is Emily Lekuru? Emily Lekuru, the best winger, the best finisher in the league.
I think that
Emily
happens
Lekuru
everywhere.
not on the team. The team has travelled without Emily Lekuru.
I think that happens
Better
everywhere.
without her.
I think
Also, me, I
But
was
keep in
okay.
mind, she's a player that
Yeah.
can change a game by herself.
You see, okay. Let
And
me
I
say
don't think she's
something.
an indisciplined
Me, my
player.
issue with
Did
me,
Felix
my
Keniga
issue.
ever win the schools league?
No, he
His
didn't.
brother, ironically, won it.
Wasn't he the best player?
Yes, he was.
For his
For how
time,
many
for
years?
his time, he was
For
the
his
best
time,
Four
player.
years.
4 years, yeah.
Who guess who won in that time?
He didn't even win a league.
It was Warakira.
Well,
It was Barasa.
That's why.
Also,
What school were they from?
And that's the last. And that's the last.
Hey,
most
real-
successful
say it
rugby
properly.
school.
And,
Oh,
and
okay,
that's
okay.
the last real
Success.
first center we produced. Unfortunately, he didn't play
What
for
happened?
Uganda.
Barasa.
Yeah.
He played.
Barasa was ideally.
Uganda.
Uganda.
No, Uganda.
Yeah.
not Uganda.
Barasa was ideally
They must
supposed
play
to be Stone's
Yeah,
successor.
it was the last real first center I saw.
Guys, let's go back to the ladies, the ladies.
I was going back to
Yes,
that.
yes.
I don't know so much, so I don't want to be authority about it, but the little I was reading online, it would have been okay if Emily had been dropped by the coach. The coach goes through and he says, for my future plans, I understand the coach is new, Onen,
It's not.
yeah.
was there last time.
Onenyi is not new.
It was there last
there
year.
was
Not even to the sevens, not even
To
I
the
was
women's
asking to the
rugby.
women.
He was coach last
Been there
year.
for a
I
while.
was coach, okay. If Onen comes, and Onen is respectable.
Okay,
enough.
fine. Even if Onen is new,
Yeah.
is the team manager new?
No.
By the team manager, I
That's
think
my
has
issue.
been there for a minute.
Yeah,
The
that's
team
my
manager is
issue.
not new. The team doctor is not new.
all
The systems have
all
been
the
there in
rumors
place.
are revolving around a spat with the TM, an issue with the TM. That's where my issue is.
Returning
If-
a knee brace from 2019.
a knee brace. That's small things. That's what
For
online
me,
is saying.
why I think it's better that way. It's not the first time that the ladies have traveled without their best
Emily.
player.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's a time Samia was never on that team. And if you go and resolve the issues around Samia, they are very similar to the issues around Emily. And if she didn't want to play, so be it. Like, this team will go on.
They will go and
Whether
they'll
she's
play.
better, the best players are the ones on what?
And
But
then-
the only worry I have is these ladies they last played rugby very long ago.
Yeah.
They were kept on ice for too long for a training program. I don't believe in exclusive training programs. Never. Just like when I was in high school, the things of holiday coaching, I would stay home. I come when the term begins. And funny, I got the scholarships. For not, so it's not for being
Quota
brave.
system. Quota.
Okay, so
I'm
what
very
can we
close
do?
to-
What can we do?
Caesar, I can bring my marks.
What can we do?
mine.
What can we do about the number of games
yes.
that are in women's rugby, and what can we ideally do about increasing the number of teams? The number of teams.
Development
growth
model.
happens.
It's a development
organically.
model. Yeah.
Everywhere, mainly up country, a boys' team happens, a girls' team will happen. There is no country in the world that will tell you they are comfortable with the number of women
Who are
playing rugby.
playing at the moment.
But it will happen. You see, you run it the way New Zealand runs their cricket program. You have very few ladies playing. You have very few people in New Zealand playing cricket. Australia, for that matter, you work to the best of each one. Australia rugby thrives on each player in the backline being able to play 10 to 15. From the time I started watching Australia, such legends as Matt Gitu, Stephen
Everyone
Latham,
has been
Latham,
everywhere.
even Stanley Motlock could be a flanker, could be a centre. Catley Bill, Adam Ashley Cooper, this gentleman who played Lilia Fano. See, to develop an elite unit as that.
While you're still at that, did you watch this week's? I don't know if you're watching it.
The
good, the bad, the rugby.
We're
Australia.
together. He's forgetting we're together.
I was drunk.
When
He told me not to disturb him.
when Matt Gitu was talking about his time in Toulon, and he had just visited there, and the physio put on a glove, and some guy lay down on the ground, took off his pants, and he fixed 2 fingers in his ass. Apparently, it was supposed to release tension in the back.
Yes.
But he was so shocked that, wait, what's going on? But he was more shocked at the fact that it was so normal. No one was bothered.
Is there anything abnormal in France?
That was so amazing.
But back to the ladies. I think, again, because there are 4 teams playing in the ladies' circuit, then you withdraw the national team. It clearly denied the chance of the ladies who played sevens this year new exposure. They missed a chance of upping their game. They missed a total chance. Because if the national team were involved, Emily would have selected herself naturally. Again, that's why I don't believe that a player should spend more than 3 weeks away from her club.
Or maybe, I don't know. Or maybe they're punishing Emily because I saw her all through the sevens. Did she refuse to withdraw from her team?
Whatever reasons they are.
I don't
You
know.
see, when you're dealing with people in an amateur sport, any reason is justified.
Do we have
Any reason
an
is
issue
justified.
where we are failing to balance time for the game and our professional, or the things that put bread on our tables? Because remember, this is ideally a sport that we are not yet professionals.
But I don't buy that. Well, how comes when they call us for Nigos at King's Park, we are in there?
What time does Ligos happen? What time
I'm
does
sure
it
if they said
happen?
Nigos is happening at 10
Midday.
a.m.
It
Tomorrow,
will
we will be there.
no. Zeno.
Can I ask a
People
question,
will be
Ruben?
there.
Can I ask a question?
Do you know why
the
people
whole
are
night.
actually finding it easy to play in the men's sevens?
Why?
Because Tolbert has tailored his training systems around people's schedules. Early in the morning and late in the evening. You cannot tell me you're putting a training session at midday and you're not going to give me enough money to sustain me.
Look,
It is
that aside, I still believe we can't because
I will tell you.
okay.
Oh my God.
Okay, I have heard that there's a point where a coach has to work with what he has. If one training session is at midday, yeah? If one, not every day, is it routine?
Of course, not routine.
Exactly. There are very many considerations.
But then why are you very harsh at players who can't make the midday session?
No.
I think.
Okay, let us
I
stop
think
it.
we are zeroing it down.
You're confusing.
You see,
Let us
again,
stop beating about the bush.
whenever-
That is rumored to be one of the reasons why
Yes.
Emily is
Why
not on
again
the
I
team.
say
Because
why
of the
again I
times
say-
in which employment versus training.
But look here,
Ruben,
the captain
no one-
of the sevens setup,
No
the
one.
captain of the sevens setup didn't even do the camp in Nakuru. He didn't even do they were in Nakuru, yes. He didn't even do the camp in Nakuru.
Nakuru, yes.
He works for a bank. We all know what banks are in terms of employment. But he would Tolbert tailored his training session around him. Like he knows I won't have you during
Okay.
this time. So you do your
They-
Why
7.
why wasn't Emily Lekuru offered that courtesy?
Look,
that's
Okay,
another question
okay.
for another day.
We can explain this candidly, but it will involve dropping names. So, I think.
Drop them.
I'm not going to drop
Okay.
names. I usually never hold back, but when it comes to women's affairs,
I think we have
they turn very
not
tight.
drunk enough Nile special.
Even if it is not, even if you get me very drunk, you're not going to pull this out of me. One thing I've learned with women affairs, and I can be as petty as I can, this is purely egos clashing.
I think so too.
And I do not want to go into that.
And there he goes among the men.
With men, if you bring egos, Ruben, we'll slap you before back into line. But we can't do that.
Don't forget to say that we have also gone to blows.
Me what I want to say, Ruben,
And
what
you're
I want
right,
to say,
and I was wrong.
what I want to say, it's just very unfortunate that these other ladies at 12, they are 12, 15 ladies that went for these qualifiers. Their chance to represent their country, to perform for Uganda, has been overshadowed by this.
That's the sad part about it.
And like I've said
I don't think
before,
it does.
when the games begin, we will
forget
forget that
about
no
it.
sense.
We'll forget.
I hope.
Emily, a good player is that one who is on what?
I agree
On
with
the
you.
pitch.
I agree with
That-
you. For you to
that
win a
have been-
tournament, you have your best. You have to have your most talented players available. But right now, you cannot. The available players are the ones who are going to win, are going to perform at this tournament. And there's a chance for new talent to be.
Every year we
exposed.
hear something new. Last year it was exams, now it's work. Next year we could hear another one.
Another one,
Something will
exactly.
come up.
Also, we've lost so many players. Talk about Kabazi, talk about Felix, talk about all those other
Those are
players.
notable number twos.
Can we
Oh,
have
no,
a
no,
number podcast for that?
we lost
The talent
we've lost to employment
Anyway,
and professionalism.
while
So
we have-
will always move on. We will always move on. And
Yeah, yeah.
look, until that time when we become professional, we will have to work with what we have.
Caesar, why I take that excuse, insult? I have literally one of the most unattainable work schedules a man can have. Sometimes I just turn off my phone and fall dead. Yeah? But I know I'm supposed to be here at 4. You can ask him. I will tell him if the interview is not beginning at 4:30, I am not coming. Because that is the window I can watch. And I tell him by 5:30 I have to be here, right? If someone wants to do something, all these guys you're saying we've lost, they are in Nigeria drinking during training time. And I know they work in Kampala. So they can get into whatever means of transport and go to Nigeria and drink. Right? So we didn't lose them. They stepped away.
They stepped away from
And
the
they will
game.
give us all the excuses we want. We know the system has its loopholes, but we're not going to improve it by running away from it.
Yeah.
And that's even a Ugandan problem. Everyone will tell you 10 reasons why the government doesn't work. Then you give him his tax bill. Jesus Christ. No, what can't like you get the
I get.
So let's stop excusing people and trying to give them leeway that we lost them. No, they were not mentally, they were not good enough to handle the day.
That day.
Well, how comes Michael has played?
Yeah. And
And
he
you
has
know how
been
busy
working.
Michael
Yeah.
is. I can mention other people. Adrian played all through his time. Stone played
Stone played.
all through
The
medical
doctor,
school.
moreover.
And now even as the dean
As
of
the
medical
dean,
school, he's still involved in running his
Yeah.
club. Tindi works. I work. Almost every coach
Everyone,
totally
yeah.
works. Marvin is unemployed.
Very, very employed.
So, you mean Kisiga is unemployed?
Very
Is
employed.
Desire employed?
Yes.
He's in Channel employee.
Is in
Yes.
Channel.
Yeah.
So let's stop giving excuses on who we lost because mentally they couldn't take it. Let's start giving it and saying, boss, you failed to keep up? Yes, things are not ideal. Ruben has broken his leg.
Yeah, he actually broke his
But
leg.
he's still here. He's just reinvented the way he's doing things. I get tired of that excuse of, now you see we've lost. Caesar, you're here. You go to SMAC, don't you? You're involved in
rugby.
COPs. I know your schedule. They're always sending you up country. In a month, I see you twice. Aren't you involved?
Just loves
The
travel.
the restructuring of that question should probably how can we retain talent?
The thing is, you can only retain who wants to stay. I know how busy Liam is. Yeah? He will. People catch. I've seen Michael catch a flight to come back and play for Heathens. So
Do you think the welfare systems also encourage people to make those sacrifices that you're asking?
True.
Payment and also medical cover, which is, I think, the biggest thing that I advocate for.
The way we improve these systems. Ruben, you got an injury. I got an injury. I make sure the next generation don't need to suffer the trauma I
That you
suffered.
suffered.
I trauma cushion. Then that is one problem solved. You see now, 10 years ago when we were at Rugby Nation, we were solving different problems from the
right
problems
now.
today. We were solving people going to Dubai and being given 100,000. That's no longer a problem. Meaning, yes.
There's a salary scale for everyone to go and play.
But you remember we used to quarrel about this.
Yeah.
That means we are trying to go somewhere. Yeah, we can't keep on insisting. No, you see, Chiganye. Me, I don't defend. Like I've said, the best player is the player on pitch.
Okay, while we're at that, sorry, my earphones are having a bit of an issue. But while we're at that, just to shine a light on the ladies that have traveled, and we wish them all the best. Of course, starting with Captain Peace Lekuru and Vice Captain Agnes Nakuya.
We're saying we have a 12 problem. Peace is over there, man.
Yeah.
She's the best 12s I've seen.
Well, she's a lady. She cannot play for the men. But
Let's not bring gender into this. We said an inside center problem.
Let them read it.
all right. Anyway, Yvonne Juma, Mary Gloria Yachts, Maimuna Nasozi, Grace Auma, Amoli, Sandra, Grace Nabagala, Sarah Chirabu, who was very, very also impressive in the sevens. Lydia Namabiro, Rachel Mofoa, Rita Nadunga, Coach Charles Onen, SNC.
Who, by the way, you had to be stitched up on the knee to walk again. But
Okay.
he's still here. So, hey,
Another inside center problem that could have been solved.
hey.
Stop giving us people that have passed, other people that are in the different gender. Give us people that. Maybe you come back and play 12. Keniga. SNC was saying SNC Chigongo Sebalamu, Prosi Nakakande in as the TM, and Nelson Mayeku as a physio.
So you see,
Process
now
new,
it's also an improvement.
Process
that
new
now-
as a TMO.
Yes,
I don't know. I won't
The
lie.
TM was that lady who was
Nakatete.
running. What's her name?
there was Nakatete,
The lady who was running the sevens, who was there seated with
your
Bash
TM at Warriors.
in sevens. That
TM.
The one who was co-opted into the EXCO.
yes.
Olembo, Eunice.
Yeah. Eunice was for
No, but maybe
15s.
I'm very personally I'm impressed by Grace Nabagala. I know you haven't seen her, Caesar. That's going to be your surprise.
Sarah Chirabo, I'm looking forward, and of
Just
course,
to
Peace
Just
Peace
to-
Lekuru.
Okay,
I
Lekuru will
love
do what
the-
Lekuru
I love
does.
the-
But
the-
just
Don't
to-
get surprised
The
there.
15s.
We
Even
have
the
high
15s.
expectations.
Even the
Yeah.
15s, she outdid us.
Just to put-
It's just that me, I don't watch sevens.
Just to
Okay,
put-
I'm going
just to
watch
put
this time.
Grace-
I'm going to watch.
Just to put Grace into perspective, Grace doesn't play in the top league. She plays for Lady Pacers. That's how- to make it from Lady Pacers.
That's impressive.
To make it from Lady Pacers to the national team must be something.
Talk about, Robert, let me take over from you for a second.
No.
Just a second. Talk about the sevens. What new teams impressed you in the sevens? The ladies.
Women's sevens?
Yes.
We honestly speaking, when we talk about women's sevens, there's not much change, but at least the Nile Rapids did come up and
scare.
try to scare, to shake the table a bit.
Me, I was most impressed by this. Not even because they were winning or anything. They showed up. They were always there, man. I was impressed. I think those are Rams ladies.
side, yeah.
Man, they're doing well. They even came for Chitaka Tens and they did well.
Don't worry. You'll watch Mbari play this
Yeah.
weekend.
Anyway,
They are
we
brutal.
conclude the women.
The ladies, yeah.
I'll conclude the women by saying this. A lot of responsibility lies on the shoulders of Captain Peace Lekuru, leadership-wise and on the pitch.
That's big
But she also does look good in short shots, so we shall appreciate
Broad
that.
shoulders.
Are you
That is
nice as our Kanago?
Very dangerous.
Just to
Keniga-
highlight the
Keniga has never bench
impressiveness
pressed
of,
anything.
just to highlight the impressiveness of Peace Lekuru. She does training sessions with Mongas.
Okay.
15 minutes
Bocha.
sessions with Mongas.
I
That
believe
is how
the ladies,
impressive she
I
is.
believe the ladies are going to do well. We shouldn't overburden them with this whole hullabaloo of who has dropped and who hasn't. They were chosen to represent their
Uganda
country.
rugby fans will talk.
They will always talk.
Uganda rugby
That's
fans
fine.
will
It's
talk.
fine. Fans have the right
But,
to talk.
As someone who is
Us
playing,
as a podcast, we have been told that we only talk about Nigo side. So anyone will say anything.
I just
by the way,
wanted-
meanwhile,
let
the
them
Nigos
shout
on
behind
Saturday. That's good work.
Okay, guys, let us as we start to conclude, let us move away. Let us move away from
The Nigos was good.
the women's rugby. Okay, since you really want to talk about it, let's talk about Rugby Chill at 3. Your best experience in a few seconds. Tell me.
The best parts I prefer not to remember.
I would remind you of some things, but let me keep quiet. It
I
is
was
not
already
my
in
story to
overdrive. You were
tell.
going to say I simped, I did simp.
Yes, you bought like 2 crates of a beer we cannot mention here, but
I was in the mood.
You were sipping? You were sipping?
I was simping.
Caesar, of course, missing out as always. Very petty.
is
A
very-
I was
typical
up country.
snob.
It was
Come on.
up country.
I was
For some
online
reason,
to
you-
say, I was online to say the only thing I would be comfortable coming to is rugby chill, and you're blaming me for that.
Well,
You
Vinca
don't know how
performed.
happy. Do you know how? You don't know how happy I am. I'm happy. Kings Park is hosting international games, not because of Kings Park and what it will do to them, because of the rugby chill. The exposure they're going to get, man. These are our boys. They played rugby. They grew up in the rugby circles. They've started their thing, and it's working out. These are not rich chaps who came from nowhere and bought
Sure,
land
they're poor.
from pirates.
Meanwhile-
People. These are guys that came out of their way. They have started their thing, and it's working. Me. Let me tell you, I'm so excited about the rugby chill.
You're excited about everything. For
The
you.
rugby chill.
But anyway, meanwhile, Nathan is 2 classes below me, but the way he looks.
Not to forget Dennis Etuket, who has to work with Stanbic, get married,
Get
Run rugby.
run rugby, run Budo, rugby,
Budo.
run.
So, guys,
Steal players from other clubs.
please.
Under 20 man.
Oh, this is how yo.
Etuket is a special.
Your
never
weekend,
tell us that people are working.
your weekend memory.
Does it remember?
I had.
Do you remember
I
anything?
had plans to make it rugby chill,
But you didn't.
but I stopped along the bypass, along from the express.
There is a bar in Entebbe where beer is 2.7.
In this economy,
That's how bad it gets.
okay, guys,
This
let's.
place looks nice.
It's very nice. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Can we have
Oh,
some?
you see, I know this time it's cricket, but over the weekend they'll definitely be showing the quarterfinals.
South Africa.
All the 96-0 games are
Yeah.
done. It's time for the epic action, of course.
3-1.
3-1. If possible, there'd be 3-1.
We are here.
But
Very
yeah,
nice fun.
I think it's Ireland. Ireland is playing New Zealand. We'll have England playing Fiji. This one thinks there's going to be an upset.
Actually,
There'll be Wales, Argentina, and there will
for the first time
be
in my life,
France, South
For the first time in my
Africa.
life,
That
I'm
game
actually worried about an England game against Fiji. I think
We are going
they
to
have
beat
a chance.
Fiji. We shall beat
They have
Fiji.
a very good
For now,
chance.
Joshua's head is in the right place.
They have a very
Thank
good chance.
himself.
I think
Even
I-
Radradra is back.
That game is one of the games I won't be hurt if we lost.
England had a scare against Samoa, and
These
still
are the
behind
Pacific
Fiji.
Islanders who
And
finished.
Fiji lost to Portugal.
Dude,
Exactly.
Okay, if you watch the game, you'd never say that Fiji lost to Portugal. Portugal beat Fiji.
it was
Man,
hands down.
So you get
They had a
hands
hooker
down.
with skills.
Yeah, but you see,
I've not seen a hooker that skilled.
That number 10.
But you see, rugby, like he's saying, rugby is mental. Rugby is mental. I'm sure there are a bunch of just that Fijians are made differently, but there are a bunch of people who are there. Hey, man, Portugal beat us, man. This is England.
Portugal.
It's there in their heads.
Let me put it to you. Portugal played a game in heaven. You see, even when they kept going behind Fiji, they
And
kept
the
kept
chaps
coming
we
back.
need to-
They kept
there are
coming
the chaps
back,
we
yeah.
need to go through to go to the World Cup.
Anyway, guys,
We'll be there mentally.
just one
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
We'll
Zeno-
just make sure the captain is not from
Zeno,
Smart.
there is one thing when you go to social media, and I want to introduce this like this. You have a tweet, or I don't know what they call it since it's now X. Is it called
Tweet, it's a tweet.
an X
Tweet.
you put out? A
Twitter
post
is
you
Twitter,
put
but
out.
it has a different sign
Yeah?
from a bad.
Yeah, by the Gundi, Elon Musk to just cheat us. No one's going to call that thing X. So anyway,
So buy yours and call it what
Yeah,
you
you
want.
call it what you want.
And that's what they call fuck you, man.
Mganga simu tu.
Mganga simu tu.
Mganga simu tu.
So you have a post where you said women always posting they want intelligent men. When I approach them, they discover they prefer handsome men. So one, you think you're not handsome? Two, do you really think you're that intelligent?
I think I've been accused a lot of being intelligent, but no one has called me handsome. So I can stick to that.
Keniga, we have on this podcast had a number of ladies come on, and all of them, I should say 100%, from as if we were to carry out a survey, they were like, rugby men, fans or players, hell no, to hell with those people. Would you date someone in rugby? And why do you think you guys have so much bad PR, man?
Yeah, there was that.
You're going to bring he's going to bring his Schrodinger's cat things.
No. There was that famous the biggest section networks. Then I think personally said like 2 days ago, the biggest section networks.
There was Rotary. You're part of Rotary. Then there was
Smack League.
There was Smack League. You're part of rugby. You're part.
Keniga is the problem. Because the only constant is in Rotary. It's in Smack League. It's in rugby. So
I mean, if it's a common factor, I mean, come on.
I'm an exception to that rule.
So the accusation has been sorted. We are not the problem.
Okay. A few people like Keniga are the problem.
He's the only consistent one, though.
Yeah.
You're also in Rotary.
I moved out of Rotary.
But you
Why?
are.
I was.
Because you realize we're getting full benefits.
Caesar, second
Exceptions to
man.
the
Caesar.
rule.
But Caesar,
I say
second
once
man,
again.
he was in Rotary. He's in Namiliango League.
The Midiango League is just about vibes and fun. Party. Smack League, anyway,
Smack League
so
is a
guys,
section network.
on this point of social media, do you think social media has been...
I just like that he has acknowledged Namiliango chaps go to Smack League. That's all.
No, we don't. No, we have no reason
You
to.
say it. You say it.
I
And
say
quote,
it.
I cannot-
The way they take those other...
No. Je batwa. We
Buri
say-
Ubuntu.
Ubuntu bwawe means Namiliango
No.
take their Ubuntus.
Maybe there's a lot of chifiris at the Ngo League. Over Busu.
Because we know Smack is slow.
Puff.
No, but I can defend Smarkists on that.
We know Smarkists are slow and they are simps. So
They are the biggest simps. Them and people from Barra High.
Yeah.
They are very...
when Edwin is making shirts for Simpi, Jan, Simpere, wherever he makes his t-shirts, he should make for Caesar and the rest of the Smack community. They are going to come for me. But anyway,
I'm going to contact my legal
Would
counsel
you date in a rugby
for
world?
me,
information.
I don't know. Of course,
From
this
you,
man has given me a lot of
Ruben.
stick for the person that I am. I tend to look at the human being. Sometimes I oversee what the good in a person that's not even there sometimes. So
Okay. In your looking at the human being, can you date in the rugby
it
world?
depends on the human being. That is what I am trying
Yeah, I
to
have a
say.
simple answer to that.
Also, does she have a big is what I meant.
Zeno, exactly. Zeno has like clarified everything.
Guys,
Man eateth where what? You okay.
has social media been good for rugby or not?
In Uganda?
In Uganda, we're talking about
100%. It's the biggest thing that's
even
working for rugby.
even with this constant noise that maybe can seem like it is toxic for sponsors to come in. I mean, Total gave us money and we abused Total.
Then
I've
they
never had
added.
anything
Why
like
didn't they
bad
run away?
publicity. I've had anything like bad publicity. There's nothing like bad publicity.
There's no.
Nah.
So why
What's
influencers dropped for perhaps nudes, sex tapes, and things like that?
Let me tell you.
Temporarily. Most times it
Let me
happens
tell you.
temporarily, by the way.
Social media. World Rugby has slept on social media. We are very happy that the Uganda rugby clubs, not union, took the mantle. The rugby clubs in Uganda, except of course yours, run.
There was a directive from Owora for clubs to have social media
Just
handles.
having, not how to run. I'll give you this. Pirates have mobilized. They had 2,000 people come through for their sevens. 2,000 at the gate on day 2. You know why?
Social media.
Social media.
Social media.
You can't even.
It was the
discount.
big for that weekend. It was the biggest event.
As a guy who's run a business online, I can tell you, I'm very happy people approached rugby as cruelly as they did. Next season, you're going to see the numbers attending Hippos games.
Yes.
It will be that is
believe.
it.
Yeah.
You see, you do this work, it pays off. People are visual. That's why they put you're in marketing. They put billboards everywhere to remind us.
No,
You see,
social
Arsenal
media
are no
is by
longer
far-
winning. They'll put a billboard of Thierry Henry to remind us that they can win.
Win.
They don't need to put.
They'll bring Bukayo Saka.
Our director of production is wondering why Arsenal is getting strays, but anyway.
No, but social media has changed the rugby.
Why is it so hard for clubs to use social media?
Exactly.
Is it?
Exactly. Let's say it exactly. They don't understand the dynamics of working
I wouldn't want to.
in that crowd.
Okay. From the little experience I've had running around clubs, social media places and stuff. We have. I would want to believe that the people who would want to go to social media angle make it a little bit more technical, in the sense that you have to watch what you post. Cobbs has a reputation to uphold.
Which one?
Exactly.
But listen, you asked me. Can I answer?
Reputation.
You have a reputation to uphold. Cops can't be seen as saying anything. Whereas there's no like, for example, if I'm to use hippos or pirates, there's no curtailing on any post anyone can say.
Was that your reputation to maintain?
No.
You think?
Let's get this right. Let's get this.
You think they don't have checks and balances on their posts?
They have.
Hippos as a club doesn't post anything offensive.
Yes.
It is Hippos fans club.
Yes.
Pirates as a club never puts out offensive
Yes.
communication.
Yes.
It is Pirates what? Fan
Yes.
club.
They
So,
are
I'm going towards that. It is, people believe that our fan base is a bit old. Not old as such, but they are out of the social media.
Snobbish.
Not snobbish.
That's
They're
the
not
word.
snobbish.
That's the
They're not snobbish.
word.
They're
They
not
don't
so-
engage social media.
They don't. I mean, I'm nowhere near what they call a snob. But the only time I go to social media is to rant and or say something about United, which is the love of my life, or like do something.
man getting married
or,
next
or,
year.
Or talk about Cobbs, or she knows really. Or talk about Cobbs,
So
or
she's second
like
wife.
one or two
Yeah.
things, or talk about Fat Cats, which is my second almost new love. So
Almost.
second,
Almost.
United is. I
You
don't
great
like
love,
it.
you
I
great
don't
love.
like it when people invade United space. I hate it. So, but I love Fat Cats. So, because of that, but I'm not a snob. It's just that it's not my comfortable space. When you see a team like Pirates, on top of the Pirates fans loving and spreading their club amazingly well, their lives are on social media. Like, you will find it's very hard for me to go on Twitter and scroll 5 tweets and I don't find Danny's tweet.
Are you trying to say
So
they have
hard.
no lives outside
No,
social
I know,
media?
You've gotten me wrong. They have a life on social
Wait,
media.
where's
I
the
didn't
camp?
say that there's no other
Emmanuel
life
has the
outside.
best memes. Where does he have like a cache of memes?
Wakampa.
Akampa or Bruno, for example. Bruno.
And he's a
Very
fat
much-
cat.
The fat cat Bruno.
Man,
He's
where does he-
always-
the
you
man
get-
can fish out
you get-
memes.
It's
You're
just
dead.
personality.
My friend,
It's
for
just
wow.
personality traits.
have
Unfortunately,
college courses.
Unfortunately,
Immunology.
there's a reason why Pirates resonates so much with the campus
young.
world or the young. There's a reason that maybe Cops is still investigating, and we shall find
So
out.
investigation
What
like
can
Uganda.
teams-
Cobbs fails- if
What
Cobbs
can
fails
teams like
to-
Cobbs do to appeal
if
to
fails-
the younger
if Cobbs
generation?
fails to tap into that market, that is how you're going to become obsolete.
I don't think so.
Oh, they can
I
remain
don't think so.
there.
They can remain there, but
In
things
the long
like,
term.
things like
In the long
value,
term, you become
things like
obsolete.
value for sponsorship, for sponsors,
Exactly.
might not work
Without
as
social
well.
media engagement.
Social media without also, but
you
I
do not
always
want
believe.
nobody.
I always believe. Don't get me wrong. I always believe that Pirates having a home is a very, very. Let me tell you, it's mental, but people don't believe. Someone knows that Kings Park is our thing. They don't pay membership, but they just know Kings Park
How
is
do you
our
know they
thing.
don't pay
Please.
membership?
It's privy to
I
information.
preview some information, some little. I mean, there's a club that has divided itself because of membership.
I am waiting for my gig to go and vote at the AGM.
My point, no membership. It's like just knowing that, knowing people.
belonging.
Plus tapping into the community.
Last week you talked about that too. Last week you talked about heathens being welcoming. You cannot welcome someone when you don't have somewhere to welcome them.
You mean people don't? That people host away matches in their rentals.
Yeah, yes, but you'll be ensuring
When
that
you
you
go in
leave,
some guy's
you'll be
room.
ensuring that you leave everything the way you found it. You get. Let me tell you
As
something.
a man,
Man, that
It's
was
a
one of
big
the
thing.
most
It's a
awkward
big-
things, man.
It's a big
I've used
thing
hotels,
that Pirates
so
has a
I'm not
home.
really
That Pirates has. There's a way they do to tap in their fan base. I don't know whether
Pirates,
it's,
by the way, let me tell you.
but you see,
When
I
we're
want to
younger-
see. I want to see. Lastly, I want to see whether that will trickle down to Rhinos, because if you notice, Rhinos is also coming up with a very big crop of very good campus rugby players.
whom they steal from Chambogo.
Oh, wherever
and
they
bring
come
back.
from, wherever they come from. I want to see, because it also works for Makerere, but you see the also beauty of Makerere. Makerere is a university team.
They have a
that
constant supply.
They have a constant supply of funds who don't even know any. They just be
They'll just be
walking
there.
from Stone going to Lumumba or something. What is this Kavuyo here? Then he turns. And let me tell you, rugby, you called it something about a game played in heaven. A game played in heaven. When you stop and watch a random rugby game, you will always stay there. That's why Boyogere, it's very, sooner or later, people will talk about King's Park before they talk about Masaza or
My
Express.
guy
And
who
that's
says,
beauty.
my neighbor has become a Pirates fan. Now my basketball team are also now Pirates fans. And
They are always there.
I'm glad we took them.
The guys' players are always
So,
there.
I don't
So
know
we're playing a game, and guys were in a hurry to finish.
But
Because Pirates
Cobbs
was
is not
not going.
sleeping. Cobbs is not
In 20
sleeping. We
minutes.
are thinking around the what?
Do you guys
around the
like,
clock?
do you
Eh?
guys like
Any
talk to
hope
each
of
other
getting a home?
Well, I don't know. I was a bit distant from the current administration, but
Caesar, I want
So
you to stand
I-
for Cobb's presidency, but anyway, that's something
that's
else,
another
Chairman.
thing for another day.
In 10 seconds each, 10 seconds strictly.
Starting with
Starting with you, Keniga. Biggest regret in rugby, your rugby life, your rugby experience in Uganda or wherever you've experienced rugby.
My
biggest
regret.
Yeah.
I think Rugby Nation would be like the biggest media house, rugby media house in East Africa at the moment. If we'd stayed on track.
Zeno?
We'd produce everything, podcasts, story, as in
My biggest
be at
rugby regret would be that I didn't play. I chose to play basketball instead of rugby. Rugby has caused me grief.
you were banned, Zeno.
Yeah. Like, when I look at my reputation, it's been stained.
Aren't you
because
in a
of rugby.
toxic relationship with this
Been a
sport?
very toxic relationship.
But you can't leave it here. Here you are.
And that's the best. And that's the
Look,
best.
I play a lot of rugby.
The toxic relationships can
And
be
they're the
epic.
best.
Oh, those beautiful
I play a lot
lights.
of rugby outside Uganda.
Amazing.
Like in places where I have friends, you play, no worry about Kasasa dismissing the win in the boardroom or Ramsey coming
I
up
love
drunk and-
Zeno's relationship with Kasasa.
No,
It's
trust me,
amazing.
if I were to join I told the TC when they asked me to join them, my condition is I don't work with Kasasa. Ramsey I can because from my village, but Kasasa, no.
So tribalism,
Who is it?
nepotism.
I'm
If I
Nepo.
saw it, who
Have
is
you
in
seen my
trouble?
drive?
Have you been to your right?
Can I give
I live with my daughter.
Okay,
That is
if you
nepotism.
can put them in
5
15
15
seconds.
seconds.
Yes.
My first biggest regret is Smack being affiliated to the Pirates when I was there. It in so many ways gave me a narrow way of looking at rugby. Had I maybe been involved with Cobbs before when I was in Smack, I think I would have had a better feel of the game or success in the game, one, but two, my mind would have been a bit broadened, but we were told to hate Cobbs or any other club for that matter, but Pirates up until S5, where Heathens came and broke that barrier. In my S4, where Heathens came and broke, one of my biggest regrets is having to be affiliated to Pirates at that time, because they didn't care about us, but now they cared about Bodo, yet we gave them some of our best players to go there. So biggest regret. Second regret was my would-be last year as a TM of Impis. With whatever happened, we had come up with a plan, a sensible plan. We had a very good season before. Then Andrew O happened. Then we went down. Then we came back. And during that time when we played in
When
championship,
Cobbs turned you guys into Nakumat.
when
He's the one who went to the shopping mall.
when we came from championship and went back to the top, we had a plan. Me, Louis, Bill, Adnan, Keith. We had a very big plan. I talked to Cobbs into loaning me already because they had played a trophyless season. I talked to them to loan me a Redo. Mochiga was coming. It was going to be a very good year. And then someone woke up and said I ate their money, and not knowing that it wasn't Caesar claim you're accusing, but very many of their senior players Unfortunately, they ended. Or rather,
But
fortunately.
you eat the money.
No, I didn't. There's no money. You've been in rugby long enough to know there's no money. in
Schrödinger's cat
rugby.
fight.
Yeah, two regrets.
I think for me,
Two regrets.
my biggest regret would be I did not really, as a player, I did not really achieve the potential I believe I could have. Largely because of myself and how I wasn't as committed, but also because of the
Extremely
fact
arrogant. You're a very arrogant
I'm not
player,
arrogant.
Ruben, right? You are not. You
No.
were a very arrogant player.
This goes back to the reward systems. What
But
was
I
your
also
eventual
think
reward if you were
the
to
time when
exactly.
I felt like I had achieved, because I had set my mind onto being a number 12, although my passion was at 10. And when I felt like I had the size and everything, that's when I broke my leg. So that was the sad situation. But anyway, let us end this by again me asking this. I don't know if you're going to play it the same way.
And
Zeno,
Zeno?
did you pour a beer?
You've not asked to know his regret before.
He just said his regrets, bro.
I
Yeah,
think
he said
play.
he
my
said
regret
play.
was that I didn't play
Yeah,
basketball.
yeah.
And up
Uh-huh.
today, you know, I'm trying to do a court at my home. So that,
Schrodinger's cat. Did you?
Mr.
pour?
Schrödinger's cat.
let me tell you,
Mm,
if someone has sent you,
mm.
it is not going to wield fruit. Because this is something, by the way, that touches a raw nerve in me.
I know it is. It's a sensitive
Because I
part.
know it is something Kasasa did on the other side over something we quarreled over in a university.
The number of times that we have had the name Kasasa on the
No,
podcast
me, I'll
would
tell
be
you,
high right
if,
now.
If I found Kasasa there being beaten by a mob,
Yes,
I would join.
probably has hiccups right now.
That's the
We
only
need to
reason
have,
why
we need to have Kasasa on the podcast.
Yeah, we need to have Kasasa. And Zeno there too. No, I can't be with the same room with him. Like, he ruined my reputation. And all for what?
Yeah, I really did.
And all for what?
How did that impact your work?
You
Yeah,
see,
your
I
life.
know I'm always lucky that I was born above the Mason-Dixon line. So if you say something about
Wow. Wow. That one we had the Schrodinger's cat. Now we have a Mason-Dixon line. Oh.
You care to explain to our audience research.
Google is their friend. Don't
okay,
explain to
just
them.
to put it in simplicity, in the America, in colonial, in the pre-Civil War, if you're born above in the northern states, you are not a slave. If you're